I would like to request Dr. Tavleen Kaur, who is an associate professor, OB and HR FIIB. She is a professor with Fortune Institute of International Business, a very passionate and active researcher having teaching experience of 10 years. Her primary areas of research are employer branding, problematic use of internet and psychosocial well-being, impact of social media on HR activities. She is active in conducting corporate workshops on themes like building happiness and compassion at work, science of happiness and well-being. She has conducted such workshops at organizations like Admitard, WeWork, Electra, Greentech, to name a few. Please welcome Dr. Tavleen Kaur.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all present here. My presentation, is going to be a lot different from the distinguished speakers that we had in the morning. And before I start, I apologize. My Hindi is not that good to make it my primary language for the session. So I'm going to be speaking in English itself. To be very honest, I was expecting some representation of the corporate, and that's how the presentation has been designed. But I'm more than glad to see a lot of young faces out there. And what I have shared here with all of you, I hope you will have some takeaways, because we have, the young folks sitting out here. And one of the speakers in the morning did mention that by 2030, we are going to be the youngest country in the world. Where rest of the world is aging, we are becoming very, very young. So I hope the youngsters out here will have some key takeaways from my presentation. Thank you. Can we have, is it visible to all of you at the back? Can we, yeah. Can we have it in the slideshow mode, if it's possible? Yeah. Is it visible at the back? Give me a thumbs up if it is. Thank you so much. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. So I have been asked to share my thoughts on what are the current challenges that HR professionals are navigating, and what does future look like for HR professionals. Me being a pure HR academician, I have brought in some experiences, I have brought in some readings here, so you can pause me, you can disagree with me anywhere at any point in time. So without wasting much time, I think you all would agree with me if I say 2020 was a year of survival. 2021, I say it was a year of pause and reflection. And 2022, I say, was a year to build up the future again with resilience in mind. And on that note, now that we are in 2023, we are ending 2023, I will take you through the challenges that COVID has brought to us. Especially, I'm talking about HR professionals and students who want to make their career in HR. And I would also like to take you through what future holds for you, what kind of profiles, job changes now you can expect once you dive into the HR world. You all would agree, we had never heard of work from home, at least in the Indian continent. This word was very alien to us. Pehle aaya work from home, then aaya work from mountains. Now we have work from anywhere. Nomadic, it's called nomadic setup. So, those students out here who wish to make their career in HR, and also if you want to become an entrepreneur and you want to give employment to others, you can only have talent if you give them the flexibility to operate from anywhere nowadays. So according to a report by World Economic Forum, 98% of employees now want to only work from home. They do not want to go to the office, spend some unproductive hours on the road, and then, start their day. So that's the first challenge we are navigating through. This is a permanent change that pandemic has caused. Very soon, rather some organizations have already replaced work with contribution. Now your impact is no more judged by the number of hours you spend on the desk. Now your contribution is measured by the impact you create to the organization. So that 9 to 5, we can remove it from our vocabulary very clearly. Because now work is being replaced by contribution. And measuring that has become another challenge for HR professionals. The next one, I say reskilling. This was also mentioned somewhere in the beginning of the session that we had in the morning. No matter how much expert you have become in one domain, reskilling is now the new norm. You will have to reskill, and the pace of reskilling has become very, very fast and very, very fast. Today, you learn Tableau, 3 months down the line, Tableau is obsolete. Today, you learn Python, 6 months down the line, there is some other tool out in the market. So reskilling, my young students out there, you will have to be on your toes. Even if you say I become an expert, you need to again reskill and upskill yourself very, very quickly. AI or automation. We all are very kind of scared of this word AI and automation. Yes, it is going to take a lot of jobs, but it is also going to create a lot of jobs. So let me say, if AI has gotten, I'm talking about HR profession, AI has gotten into interviews. Now robots are taking interviews. China has experimented already a robot doing performance appraisal of the employees. Right? So AI, yes, has gotten into our profession, but now humans can focus more on emotions-driven innovation. Very soon, once you guys join the corporate world, you become one of the corporate chiefs, you will have profiles like human bias auditor. You will have profiles like algorithmic bias auditor. Because if a robo is doing an interview, to what extent can I rely on the robo? That will be your job now, to become a human bias auditor. If a robo is doing a performance appraisal, what is the algorithm that you had put? Is that algorithm bias free? So that is the nature of the profiles that you will have, once maybe 10 years from now or 5 years from now. So it's not that it's going to eat your jobs, but it is definitely going to change your jobs. Inclusion is going to become the buzzword. It already has, right? LGBTQIA+. We are having the representation now. And when I say inclusion, I just do not mean gender or sexual orientation. I mean language diversity. I mean generational diversity. By 2030, all the baby boomers will retire. HR will have a challenge of bringing that experience on board because people will retire. We will only have youngsters. So maintaining that balance is also inclusion, right? People who come from tier 2, tier 3 city, they have a mother tongue influence, so sure, and they don't feel included. They feel I am, not a part of the lunch group because of my MTI, my mother tongue influence. That is what we call language or linguistic diversity. We need to appreciate that as well. So inclusion is not just a checklist that I have brought people from some minority community and it gives me an award. Inclusion actually means after I'm hiring them, am I giving them equally important job? Or is it that I'm including or I'm hiring a minority group just because I want to become an employer of good choice or an employer of, choice award? Or is it that once I hire them, I give them equally important job? Once I hire them, they become equally, they're running the race for promotion equally as much as a majority, right? So inclusion just does not mean hiring somebody from a minority group. That could be gender, that could be sexual orientation, that could be anything. But once they're hired, do they really feel included? That is what inclusion means. And inclusion by 2030 will become the mantra. Most of the organizations would want to have a workforce which has a great blend of all this diversity. Already, organizations have started virtual onboarding, and that's becoming again another norm. I know so many people who joined their organizations virtually. They never saw their cubicles. They never saw their organization, and they resigned from. They joined via laptop. They resigned via laptop in the last 3 years. And virtual onboarding again is going to become the next buzzword. Now, the problem with virtual onboarding, which poses a challenge to HR professionals, is the sense of belongingness. Whenever you join an organization, the day of your joining is a very, very special day for all of us. But if that joining happens via laptop, it doesn't give me any sense of belongingness. So if I'm an HR professional and my job is to make sure that you feel belonged, when you join, but you are joining via virtual onboarding, it again poses a challenge, and you guys need to figure out the solutions, you being the young, workforce who's about to enter into the corporate world. So virtual onboarding is another challenge because it somewhere impacts my sense of belongingness to the organization. Productivity paradox. We all are living in this paradox of hybrid. You all understand hybrid? 3 days office, 2 days home, or vice versa. It can be 3+2 or it can be 2+3. Now I have technology, I have all the comfort, but a report by Microsoft where they actually researched 60,000 employees. So this research done by Microsoft on 60,000 of their employees, it actually said that productivity is going up, but creativity has gone down in the last 3 years, post-pandemic. So I do have technology, I have the system at home. Amazon, a brand like Amazon made sure that once the pandemic was there, the systems, the tables, the chair, the furniture, everything reached their employees' home so that they get the entire feel of their cubicle. But despite that, the paradox is I do have technology, but the creativity has gone down in the last 2 to 3 years. So that's another challenge which HR professionals have to deal with. Workplace spirituality. It's going to become very, very important, mark my words. In the next 5 to 10 years, spirituality will enter our workplaces. And when I say spirituality, I don't mean religion. I mean finding my purpose in my work, finding meaning in the work. And that is going to become a very, very, I would say, a big change. It has already begun. Organizations like Apple, they do it. And please do not confuse spirituality with religion. I'm again saying here and it's not also creating a meditation room. No, it is much deeper. It is about whatever you do you find meaning in what you do? So if you are from KPMG, let's say you're an employee in KPMG, and you're writing a report on climate change, will this report make sense to anybody in the world? That is what workplace spirituality means. Whatever you are doing, do you find meaning in that? Do you find meaning in, do you find purpose in that? And the generation we are dealing with, Gen Z and millennials, salary is not enough for them, right? They're not fighting for survival anymore. That was our job, maybe my parents' job, but we are operating beyond survival now. We want good profile, we want our own cabins, we want a lot of good things by putting very less efforts. So the generation we are dealing with, they want, a lot of meaning and a lot of purpose to convince them to come to the job. Otherwise, they're all in their Monday blues. Right? So that's another challenge which HR professionals are going to deal with. How to make sure that you find meaning in what you do. So I thought I'll also share, now since these are the challenges, how can HR professionals help us go through these challenges? So if any corporate representative is sitting out here, if you are very close to not giving flexible timing to your employees, you will have tough time hiring. Because employees now, they've tasted blood, they've tasted the comfort of work from home, they're no more willing to come to office, right? At least some of them. So if the organizations are rigid on timings, they cannot really hire good talent anymore. So one has to agree to work from anywhere. The brand has to agree that the employees will be operating from anywhere, and the work has to be replaced with contribution, right? So the first thing is they need to be very flexible in their timings. Resilience, organizations have already started checking in the recruitment process, the students I'm hiring, are they resilient or not? Or are they crybabies? So nobody wants a crybaby. Especially after pandemic, they want employees that if God forbid something like this happens again, do I have employees who are resilient? So resilience will become another hiring factor very, very soon, especially when you guys, get into the corporate world. So make sure that, you are resilient. To ensure generational diversity, that is what I said, by 2030, the baby boomers will retire. And Gen Z and millennials, they will take over as the primary workforce. It has its own challenge because it doesn't bring experience on board, right? It brings creativity, it brings idea, but how do we replace experience? So that is another challenge which, HR professionals are going to have. Automation is not our enemy. It's there to help us. If I talk about how automation has entered HR, They are now taking text interviews. The robots are taking now interviews. They are, let's say if you are in a hiring process with a brand who has used automation, you will not see a human now taking interview. You will be asked to record a video. They will look at your eyelids. How are you moving? Your body language. Are you sweating? And through that, they make signals. How confident is the job seeker? So that leaves a lot of time for HR professionals to spend on employee productivity and employee belongingness, which otherwise was spent in shuffling the resumes. Now I'm not shuffling the resumes anymore. The robots, the AI, automation is doing that for me. So now I can actually concentrate much more on much important aspects like employee engagement, like employee experience, like employee belongingness, right? So please don't take automation as your enemy. It's actually going to help you get rid of lot of work which was pretty clerical back then, okay? Somebody did mention in the morning about sustainability. Let me tell you, sustainability is also getting into HR professionals as well. So much so that we now have profiles like Chief Sustainability Officers, CSO. Chief Sustainability Officers will get very aligned with Chief Human Resource Officers, and you will very soon, you will see Chief People Sustainability Officers as the new designations. Organizations are now becoming, because we have been given 17 goals by United Nations to follow, and everybody is putting their contribution. Organizations are no exception to it. So even HR professionals, it will become a KRA, a key responsibility area for the HR professionals to understand sustainability as well. So if you are venturing into or thinking of venturing into HR profession, this again is going to come into your kitty. Phygital will become very, very normal. Phygital is the combination of, can anybody guess? Physical and digital, right? We call it phygital. So very soon you will have profiles like work from home facilitator, which was not existing before pandemic. We are already having a brand like Cognizant. It already has work from home facilitator as a profile now, which means if I am a WFH facilitator, my responsibility is to make sure that the employees have everything that they need at their house to make it look like or feel like their cubicle. And to make sure they have right internet bandwidth, they have all of that so that they can work productively. And that's a new profile. It was not there before pandemic. Work from home facilitator, right? That's another change that you will see very soon. This profile took my attention, distraction prevention coach. And that is really needed with you guys. Because we are so much into our mobile phones. On an average, a research says we spend 2.5 hours only, not just doing something on phone, but only checking the notifications. Those are called phantom notifications. मैं use की बातें तो भी कर ही नहीं रही हूँ. I'm just talking about looking at the notifications. I'm not getting into taking action. Only checking the notifications, it takes 2.5 hours on an average. And it takes 11 minutes on an average to regain focus on your work. So if after every 10-20 minutes you're getting a notification, imagine how much time you will take to get back to work. So 11 minutes on an average you need to regain focus on your work. And that will be the role of distraction prevention coach. That is a profile. And that will become much more popular very soon, where the responsibility will be to make sure that my employees don't get into this, this phantom notifications fever. How many of you do that? Hand on your heart. You get disturbed, almost everybody. You get disturbed by the notifications, right? Stop doing that. Ali, as I said, automation will be there, but there always will be a human to check the automation itself is bias free or not. Because at the end, who is making the algorithm for the automation? It is me. So I need an auditor to check that the right person has been promoted or not. The right person has been hired or not. So my nature of work will change, but that doesn't mean that I will become useless totally. Right? A lot of us have this fear. I think, yeah. So when we talk about digital training, 53% of HR, they feel that when they get into the interview cycle or when they start their hiring cycle, the youngsters, they do not have digital skills. 53%. And I'm talking about very basic Excel skills. So digital training will become very, very imperative, especially it has already begun. But it will become even more imperative once you enter the corporate world. 53% they feel that the candidates they interview, they lack digital literacy. That could be Excel, that could be advanced Excel. So all of you, you need to buckle up if you want to really crack some good brands. Digital training is going to become very, very important, right? And because I deal with recruiters very regularly, they say that it's okay if the students, they are somewhere average in domain because they know they are freshers. But what they don't want is the students to be digitally illiterate, right? So you need to, be very proficient in at least, if nothing else, at least Excel and advanced Excel. If you want to crack a good brand, that's the need of the hour, right? So I've got a warning. I need to wrap it up in 2 minutes. Very soon, we will also have profiles like Director of Well-being. That will take the forefront, right? And that is what pandemic has taught us. That before anything else, it is the mental well-being. And we will have profiles such as Director Well-being, whose responsibility will only be to make sure that the employees are stress-free. So that's another challenge which HR professionals are dealing with, right? Last but not the least, I personally feel of all these challenges, the biggest challenge is convincing the Gen Z to work. Not only for salary, because for them, salary is the least you are doing. For them, salary is the minimum that you can give them. What extra can you give them which is beyond salary, which is culture, which is the freedom to wear the clothes that I want to in my organization, the freedom to bring my pets in the organization, the freedom to bring, to take leaves or to be flexible with the timing. I think that is going to be the biggest challenge for HR professionals, right? That would be all from my side. Thank you so much. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you.